Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and thank you for 500 subscribers. We recently hit 500 on this channel, which is really exciting. And today, like I mentioned in a couple of previous videos and on my social media, we're going to do a little bit of answering of questions as well as doing a tag for getting to know me as a reader and a person. So I have some questions here that Steph left on my YouTube channel, and then if you have any other questions you can leave them in the comments and I'm happy to answer them. So we're going to go through Steph's first and then jump into the tag video. So the first inquiry is something about yourself that might surprise everyone, and I don't know that I've talked that much about me being a big sports fan on this channel. I am a huge fan of sports. Pretty much anything I will watch. I love to have sports on in the background and just enjoy the competition aspect of it and watching and the anticipation of like scoring and the, competition of it. My favorite sport is baseball. I love watching baseball. I have grown up on it. I am a Yankees fan, and the Phillies are like a close second for me because I do live in Pennsylvania, relatively close to Philadelphia, and so I do root for the Phils, as well as I enjoy football. I love watching soccer / football. I like American football and football as it's known around the world. I watch hockey occasionally. I love to watch the Olympics. Like I love the Olympics because you get to see so many different types of competition and sport on display and kind of learn about them. Like I love watching all the snowboarding and skiing, luge, like all the winter sports, as well as I get obsessed with gymnastics and swimming in the Summer Olympics. So personally, I love sports. Like I love them to pieces and I love to watch them. But baseball is my main sport, followed closely by American football because that's like the most accessible for me. But I do just love sports in general. Second one was 3 books you'd like everyone to read. So hang on one second. Okay, I have 3. The first is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. This is my favorite book series of all time. I know not everybody's gonna like it, but I want everyone to try it because I love it so much. I love the magic in here. I love the atmosphere. I love the friendship and the family. I love so much about these books and I just adore them to pieces. So I always want to like shove this into people's hands. Then a recent selection I think would be The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, and this is a so sweet and wholesome and wonderful, cozy, like paranormal series standalone about a young witch who, like in this world, she isn't supposed to interact with other witches very much, but she gets kind of roped into teaching 3 young witches about their magic, and it's so beautiful and lovely and cozy, and I absolutely want to shove this on everyone. The third one is going to be Iron Widow by Jiren J. Zhao. And for this one, this is such a cathartic read for me. It is full of feminine rage and sci-fi and fantasy blended together with this really awesome world building. It's a heavy book. It has a lot of heavy themes, and definitely check out the trigger warnings for this one. Like, check out the trigger warnings for any book is kind of my philosophy, but this is so good and I love it so much. I can't wait for the sequel and I just want to shove this on as many people as possible. The next inquiry is somewhere you've never been but would love to visit, and domestically in the United States I would love to visit out west, like anywhere beyond the Mississippi, because I have not been beyond the Mississippi. No, that's a lie. I have been, but I've been to like the Midwest. Kansas City is as far west as I've been. So I would really love to get beyond the Rocky Mountains, I guess, is my next geographical hurdle to jump. So either, somewhere on the West Coast or somewhere a little bit in between the Midwest and the West Coast. So that's domestic. If I had to choose international, I would love to go to... Steph is asking this question, so it makes me want to say Australia because it's on the other side of the world and that sounds amazing. So yeah, I would also love to visit Australia. And then Steph's last inquiry is an author or book you've never read but would like to. And I think for this one I would want to choose N.K. Jemisin, because she is an author that is so renowned and so celebrated, and I haven't read anything by her and I would really like to. I just keep kind of putting it off. I'm kind of intimidated because she is so well loved. I want to love her books. So for me, it's sort of an intimidation factor, and I want to get over that and actually try one at some point soon. Then I want to jump into the 20 questions book tag, which was created by Jessie on YouTube and their channel. I'll link them down below with their tag. But this was created a couple of years ago in 2021. So but this seemed like a fun one to kind of talk about books as well as personal stuff. So let's jump into it. The first one is, how many books is too many books in a series? And I probably at one time would have said 10. I read the Patricia Cornwell series. I read the Dr. Brennan series, Kathy Brennan series, and those were both true crime mystery novel series, and I was always this is too long, this isn't going anywhere. I read the Patricia Briggs series and I would always be this wasn't going anywhere, and I needed an overarching plot for that. So I loved the Kate Daniels series, which ended right at 10, and I thought that was a great length. I'm still currently reading the October Day series, which is going strong at 17 books. So I think it depends on your author and what they're doing with the series. If there is an undercurrent to the story and we are progressively following through on that larger plot, I could read a series forever. But if we are just reading installments and it is not going anywhere, I'm gonna get bored by book 10. Number 2 is, how do you feel about cliffhangers? And personally, I do love a cliffhanger. Now, I am a reader who I usually am not up on the newest release. I usually have a few books to catch up on. So a cliffhanger to me does not mean the same thing as a new release reader. But I do enjoy a good cliffhanger that leaves you wondering and waiting, even if it's just a few hours to get the next book, because, they definitely give you the feelings. Number 3 is hardcover or paperback. A few years ago, I would have said hardcover every day of the week, and I still love the way hardcovers look on my shelves for the most part, but to read and carry around, I'm going to say paperback every time at this point. Number 4 is favorite book. My favorite book of all time is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I have talked about this on this channel, so if you've been around any length of time, you know I love this book. I reread it every year, usually in the fall, and I just love it to bits. Anne Elliot is a main character that I resonate with very, very strongly, and I love her very, very much, and her story arc is so interesting to me, and I personally get more out of that book every time I reread it, and it's such a comfort to me at this point to reread it. Yeah, it's my favorite book of all time. Number 5 is your least favorite book, and for me right now, I'm gonna say my least favorite book is Voyager, which is the 3rd book in the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. I really wanted to love that series, and I was really putting a lot of effort into getting back into reading it for the first time, and the amount of fat phobia that hit me over the head in that book just made me so frustrated and angry, and I sort of, as well as the constant threat of sexual assault in that book, so I didn't remember that being a thing in the first 2 books. I had read them a few years previously, so when I tell you I was white hot with rage reading that book and decided to DNF it and DNF the series, that was the first time in a while I wanted to throw a book across the room. Number 6 is love triangles, yes or no. And so if it's a true love triangle in the fact that we have a character who has split allegiances for good reasons, and they aren't like heavily leaning towards one or the other, yes. If we have one that's just like the main character is going to get together with this person and this person is just there for jealousy and distraction, that's not so much my jam, but that's usually what it is, so I'm going to say no. Number 7, the most recent book you just couldn't finish. I'll show you, but it's a spoiler for my wrap-up. I DNF'd this last night. Sorry, everyone. For me, personally, this book was being mismarketed. It says it's rivals to lovers, and I didn't see a whole lot of rivalry here. I was halfway through pretty much when I gave up on this, and there was just a lot of things that weren't working for me personally. I think this is going to work for a lot of people, but there were just many things that didn't work for me. Number 8 is a book you are currently reading. These. I will put them on the screen because I think everything that I am currently reading is an audiobook that is digital. So I will show you the things that I am currently reading. Number 9 is the last book you recommended to someone. And last night when I was on Sprints, I talked about Sabriel by Garth Nix because the Australian readathon is running. Honestly, I don't know when it's running. I don't know what the dates are. But Mel was talking about it in the comments on Sprints last night, and I also saw Steph's announcement video, and they were talking about recommended Australian authors. So I talked about the Garth Nix Porson trilogy because I love this series to bits, and the audiobooks are read by Tim Curry, and they are so good. Like, they are so excellent. So I always like try to push people to read them because I think this is technically a young adult series. It's like a 90s young adult series, so it's kind of sits on that border between adult and young adult, but the audiobooks are so amazing. So now I've recommended it to you as well. Number 10, the oldest book you've read. Oh, we're gonna have to go to Goodreads for this. All right. According to Goodreads, the oldest book that I have read, according to publication date, are Stories from the Arabian Nights, which was published in 800. So I think I might have read this for school. The second oldest one that I have read is the Decameron, which I also read for school. The oldest book that I have read for pleasure is Sense and Sensibility, which was published in 1811. And then I think the next question is to basically reverse this and say what's the most recent book that you have read. Honestly, Cleat Cute is the most recent because it came out like this, like in the last month or so. Before that, it is Lore Olympus Volume 4 by Rachel Smythe, which was published in June. So those are my most recent reads, most recently released reads, I should say. Number 12 is your favorite author. Favorite author is hard because, like, who do you choose? Because I could say Maggie Stiefvater because she wrote like one of my favorite series of all time. I could say Jane Austen because she wrote my favorite book of all time. I could also say KJ Charles because she always gets me out of a reading slump. These books are dark, but they are fast-paced and fun and sexy, and I love them. I could also say Seanan McGuire because this 18-book series took over my life last year. I could also say Garth Nix because I love that series so much. I cannot forget, absolutely cannot forget Ilona Andrews, which she's right down here with this giant half of this book, this shelf with the Kate Daniel series, the Innkeeper Chronicles, the Edge series, the Nevada series, and Catalina series, the Hidden Legacy series. I love them all so much. Ilona Andrews is probably, I mean, I talked about a lot of authors there, but Ilona Andrews is pretty far up there because she has just, it's a husband and wife writing team, have written books that I just go back to and want to reread over and over and over again. Number 13, buying books or borrowing books. Honestly, Both. For me, both. I buy a lot of books, obviously, because I love them and I put them on my shelves, but I borrow a lot of books as well. Like I said, like about the currently reading, I'm currently borrowing all of those from my library to read, either because they are part of a series that I don't own more physical copies of, or because I wanted to try it before I bought it. So both, every year in my reading spreadsheet, my borrowing and like my owned books that I've read and my borrowed like library books that I have read are usually close to split, because I spend a lot of time doing both. Number 14, a book you disliked that everyone else seemed to love. How many times can I mention Glee Cute? That one. What else did I... I don't, The Thursday Murder Club, I DNF'd that. After just a few chapters, I really didn't like the characters in that, and I gave up on it pretty quickly, even though everyone else seems to love and adore that series. Number 15 is bookmarks or dog ears. Bookmarks 100%. I don't throw shade at people who fold over their corners, dog ear, whatever, but I am a bookmark girly. I have bought so many bookmarks over the years and acquired so many through friends and other stuff that I simply cannot not be a bookmark girly. Number 16, a book you can always reread. Always? I mentioned KJ Charles, but honestly, these 3 books I reread so often that I don't even mark them as rereads most of the time. These all have a special formula that gets me out of a slump, and I love to bits. 17, can you read while hearing music? I am getting better at this, but I really can't. I do okay if it's an ambiance video, like if it's an ASMR or background noise, but if there's music underneath, I have a really hard time. Music just interrupts my reading, and I pay attention to the music even if I'm trying to read. So music is hard for me. I really don't listen to music while I read. One POV or multiple POVs? I like multiple POVs, but not too many. Like if I'm in a romance book, I really want both points of view, and I want like all the angst I can get out of it. But if we're in a fantasy book and we're following like every member of a family plus their servants and their dog and the owl that sits in the tree outside, that's not for me. I prefer like a few points of view over one, but I don't prefer it to be everyone. So I'm a little bit specific. Number 19, do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? Usually multiple days. I do typically read like a chunk in one day. So like if I'm listening to an audiobook, especially, I will, be cleaning, I'll be doing something here at the house, and I will have my headphones in listening to an audiobook, and I will get a huge chunk of an audiobook read in one day. But for physical reading, I usually nibble more than I sit and like devour a book. So it depends on the format, but most of the time I'm reading more, a large chunk, than finishing it on either end of that, on that big chunk of reading. Number 20 is who do you tag? And I'm not going to tag anyone. I'm just going to say thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing and hanging out and getting me to 500 subscribers. That's something I've been working towards for a while now, and it's just really exciting to hit that milestone. Like I said, if you have any other questions that you want to ask, I'll be happy to chat in the comments. But if you don't feel like chatting, just leave me a book emoji. It's easy enough since we talked about lots of different bookish things today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, like I said, hit the subscribe button down below. We do have fun here. We do chat about a lot of different things, and I have enjoyed having this channel so much, and all the people that I have met through it, as well as all of the fun things that I've gotten to talk about on here, and I'm looking forward to doing it even more in the future. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!